Hello, this is Chris Wilson with the University of Winters, and today I have Pam Lawson from Middletown, Delaware. She's one of our top trainers within our company, and I'd like to thank Pam for taking time out of her schedule.
Sure, glad to be here.
Well, we're talking to parents right now, and in the last video they were introduced to the 8 real main issues that face their children today. And I think every single parent can relate to all those issues, but I think a lot of the parents watching it just really don't know what needs to be done at this point. And this video is kind of like maybe a bridge video to the main solution, but we kind of want to talk about and introduce them to self-improvement, and more importantly being intentional about addressing all those issues we talked about, not really relying on the formal education process to do it. I know for myself, a big challenge I had in my life was my parents always wanted to do the best they could for me, and they always stressed education, but that's all they really knew what to do. And they just didn't know any better. They had great intentions, but it just wasn't enough to really follow my hopes and dreams and aspirations.
Yeah, I think if you watch that previous video, a lot of that stuff made a lot of sense to you, and it might have been the first time that you ever heard it put that way, because most of us, we were not raised, like Chris said, we were raised the traditional way. We were not raised to be able to think outside of the box. It was go to school and get a good education, and then you'll be able to get a good job. But it's probably, like both of us, we were forced on a pathway that we really would not have chosen for ourselves. And, although we end up fine in the end, which your child may too, but oh my gosh, it would have made such a difference in our lives early on, and may have put us at a different place at this point in our life if we had been taught some of the things that you learned in the first video. And I think anybody who watched it would be thinking, oh my gosh, how can I not do that for my child? It makes so much sense.
And we're talking about our children to be successful, and we're really talking about potential. We've got to increase their potential so they can be the person that they want to be. You can't remain how you are right now and expect to be somebody else just automatically. And I think a lot of people, they just feel because you grow, you get bigger, you get stronger, that automatically you're just going to reach your potential and be a better person.
Right.
I mean, do you think that's really how it works?
It doesn't happen automatically. It does not happen automatically. You have to work at it. First, you have to be able to recognize what your passion is. You have to be able to identify what you really want to do. And then you need to learn how to, like you said, intentionally go about the task of making that happen, and put your life on the path that you really wanted to go on, rather than on a path that somebody else is choosing for you because of your intelligence or because of, your strengths that you have or lack of strengths. Our environment shapes us so much, and not intentionally in a bad way, but because people just were never taught this kind of stuff. And, it will make a big difference in our society if more people were able to learn this.
So when we're talking about potential, and then when we're talking strictly about high school students right now, there's a lot that encompasses potential. I mean, you have your self-esteem, your self-image, you have confidence, and then there's certain skill sets in there. You have your attitude, you have you have to find your passion, you have to know how to write a plan, set your goals. So when you're talking about potential, there's a lot of different key facets in there. But I think where it all starts for everybody, especially kids in high school, is you're talking about self-esteem and self-image. I mean, if they have dreams and passions, but yet they're not being harnessed in a way where they're accepted and that passion's coming out with a lot of encouragement, then that hurts kids' expectations. It hurts their beliefs. And when you start at the basic self-image of kids, Dr. Walter Staples says in his book, Think Like a Winner, that statistics bear out that 80% of the population has a poor self-image, which means they don't think very highly about themselves, which means they don't think very highly of what they can achieve. Their belief levels they tend to take a negative stance, and all that has to be addressed before we can really start to reach our potential.
And a lot of that comes about from the adults that they've grown up with, that surround them, make them feel that way. Kids aren't naturally born to feel bad about themselves, but as they grow up, adults around them shape their beliefs about themselves and shape their own help them shape their self-esteem, positive or negative. There's a lot of effect that goes on.
Yeah, so I think what we want to get to here is, if we want to increase our potential, it's just not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen by us or the children doing anything. They have to specifically do something. So I think a lot of people at this point are asking, well, what do I need to do?
Right.
And really that comes down to following an intentional self-improvement program. A lot of people, when you ask them, what's personal development or what's self-improvement, they really don't know the facets of it. They kind of can give you a general answer, but they don't know what does a successful person do that an average person does not do. How does a successful person have a strong self-image, strong self-esteem, strong confidence, and believe in themselves? And why does an average person not? And it comes down to that successful person does things every single day intentionally to build all those different facets. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. And it has to be intentional, like you said. And it's not, and the one thing to say is no matter where kids are right now in life, if they're having a rough time or if they're struggling in anything, that can be changed, in a moment. A decision to do something different in one moment can turn that life around and change that and put them in a totally different direction.
And I think something that I'd like to bring up is when you look at society really awards children that participate. If you just participate, you get a trophy, you get a ribbon.
Right.
And I think what happens is it doesn't take out the people who are actually contributing more. So just by participating, I think kids are getting the perception that if you just participate, you're excellent. Just participating is just average. The ones that go above and beyond and contribute more are the ones that are excellent. So I think when we look at society, this is what you have to understand with your kids. If they're being taught that just participating is enough, that just gets you to be average. And if you follow that pattern for the rest of your life, you're going to remain average. If you follow average things, then you can't have the expectations, and you as a parent can't have the expectations that they're going to be excellent at something and have a great career and have a fulfilled life, can we?
No, we cannot.
I mean, it's a simple pattern. So, is it really the parents' fault when we're talking about this?
No, it's not the parents' fault because they never knew. They were never taught this stuff either.
So, we're not trying to lay blame on whose fault it is, but we just want to bring a point out. It's a cyclical cycle here that goes on. If the parents were never taught, and what they're doing is actually, and maybe they don't even know this, they're following average techniques of what average people do every day, but yet we as parents, we want better for our children.
Right.
Well, if we want better for our children, then we have to teach them something different than we did ourselves.
The line has to be drawn somewhere.
Somebody has to. It's either we do or we hope the educational system does. And the educational system just doesn't do that.
No.
We talked in the last video of mathematics, science, and English is good academics, but is that the difference of someone increasing their self-image, having belief, and finding their passion and make a great career? No, it doesn't.
No.
So when we look at what's addressing kids today, let's talk about a couple of things right here. We'll just touch on them very briefly. I think the number one thing for parents is self-image. I mean, you look at a lot of things that are going on in society today, a lot of these tragic events that are going on, these are people that have poor self-images about themselves. And you even have people that are adults that are in the workforce that, they're making a career and they're making money, but they have a poor self-image on what they look at themselves. They don't think highly about themselves. They don't have belief on what they can do. And did they make an income? They made an income. But isn't that just average if you're making an income? I mean, if you're not doing something you're fulfilled about and your passion.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. We all can get a job. We all can find something to do to make a little bit of money, but is it something that we're excited about doing every day? Is it something that we love getting up to go to every day? Do we feel like we're giving value to somebody? I mean, do we feel like we're making a difference in somebody's life? Probably most people would say no to that. Most people probably are miserable when they wake up in the morning and have to go to work because they hate their boss, they hate their job, they hate what they're doing, they feel like it's not a worthy career, they feel like it's, they're just not getting fulfilled with what they're doing.
So we talked self-image. I mean, we've talked about some things here, following your passion, even being inspired. I mean, how many kids get inspired when they go to school? They say, I can't wait to go to school tomorrow. But then again, how about, when we used in the last video of the child that loves skateboarding? They can't wake up the next day to get done school so they can go skateboarding. And, they have that passion.
Right.
And I think a lot of kids are frustrated out there. They want to go out there and reach some things. Sometimes they get overextended. They got too many commitments. We're trying to do too many things with them. There's a lot of
please too many people.
Society pressure,
right.
And
right.
how difficult is it for a parent? Imagine if a parent just doesn't know any better, and they're saying, "Wow, that skateboard thing, you're really awesome at it. You have a lot of athletic ability, but you know what? That's childish. This is what I need you to do." So you can kind of see that if parent and child aren't working together, then you can have a lot of frustration in there, and someone's going to buckle. And who's going to buckle 9 times out of 10 is usually going to be the child.
Right.
And then we get into this cycle of if someone's watching this video and then they're saying, "Wow, I'm not really happy," and now I can see kind of what's going on. Sometimes when we're so close to the situation, and we talk about this a lot of times, if we're sitting on an airplane, we look out the window, we see just right there on the ground.
Right.
But when we're up 40,000 feet, we can see the whole landscape of everything's going on. And sometimes as a parent, we're so close to the situation, we don't recognize that, Johnny has a great talent at skateboard, and he's damn good at doing that,
right.
Because we're so close. But someone on the outside that sees the whole picture can say, "Man,
right.
Johnny's an awesome skateboarder. You ever thought about, maybe trying to figure out how to get a career?" There's a lot of different things that he can do in that industry. It might not be a professional skateboarder, but a lot of things in that industry he can make a great career out of.
Yeah.
And we just kind of don't think about those things. And positive role models and influencers. So there's a lot of things that address kids today that I think need to be proactive, not only by the child, but as the parent. I think if the parent's proactive, then the child's going to be inspired and the child's going to be proactive. I mean, when we talk about statistics that, a third of all kids after they graduate high school never read a book ever in the rest of their life.
Right.
And some people are listening to this say, "Man, if you can get my child to read a book, that's going to be a miracle." Well, you know what? If you're inspired about reading a book, and we can show how that by reading a book and learning some of these techniques can help reach their passion, when you can identify that, your children are going to read books. And even if they don't read it, they'll listen to audios, they'll put it on their iPod, and when they start getting closer to what they want to do, maybe their self-image starts to improve, in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, they start, seeing that belief. If they start seeing some changes, they'll do some of this stuff.
Right. And if their mind is fed with this kind of stuff, just like you said with audios or with books or whatever, if they start feeding their mind this positive stuff and these things that are going to help them say, "Wow, I never really thought about that. Maybe I could do that," or maybe I am smarter than I think I am, or whatever. It's going to improve their life, and it's going to make them feel so much better about themselves. But they have to be guided to that, because that's not natural for a kid. For most kids, and I've seen it time and time again as we're doing this. People that young kids, teenagers that have picked up a book, Think Like a Winner. There's so many great personal development books out there, and they've read it, and it has set them on a whole different path. It's just changed the way they think about life, about the way that they think about themselves, just to get that germ of an idea in their mind that it doesn't have to be this way.
So now we're at the point. The last video, I identified a lot of main issues. We talked about some more issues in this. We've talked now about being intentional. Successful people are intentional every day. They work on these things. That's why they're so good, and that's why they separate themselves from the average person. So now what we want to do is we want to bridge the gap. In the next video, we're actually going to talk about a program. We got a kick butt program that appeals to many people, not only kids in high school, but parents and many people in the community. So at this point, as a parent, I think, personally, I'd like to get your opinion, is at this point, what can a parent do at this point? And I think that it's okay getting our child involved in a self-improvement program. And if I don't know anything about it, then I need to gather the information, and I need to make the change. I need to get with my child, have them look at information also, and get to the point and say, we need to start now. So a lot of people say, "Well, I'll start it later," or "I'll do it someday," and someday never comes, and later never comes.
Exactly.
Successful people, they understand you do it now. If you want something to change, you need to do it now. If you want your self-image to change, you need to start now. So are there anything that you want to close this out with before they get access to the next video?
Well, I just want to say that, a decision that you make in a moment, in just a moment, can dramatically alter your life. If you see value in this for yourself, especially for your child, but also for yourself, because I have a feeling that a lot of you that are looking at this are thinking, "Man, I'd like to learn this stuff. It just doesn't have to be for my kid." What better way to do something like this together, really? But like Chris said, you need to make a decision. Does your child need help? Do you think you could improve your child's life? Do you think you could give them a richer, fuller life and yourself a fuller life as well by learning some of these techniques? You know, and you need to just make a decision to do that. And, you know, we have a lot to offer. It's way cheaper than a psychiatrist or a psychologist. You know, I've been in the medical field my whole life, so I see people that struggle all the time. And I have been involved in personal development and self-improvement for years. And I will tell you that what you can learn by putting yourself along as, you know, a self-improvement course can dramatically change your life. It really can.
Well, I just talk from experience, and what you just said just struck a chord. I mean, we own several businesses, successful businesses, and we love what we do, but nothing of what we've done to be successful was ever taught out of formal education. I went to college, did that route and everything. None of that had any direct correlation on the success that I've had in life. So when we talk about, and when we go into the next video, we talk about the system and everything like that, and you talked about, you know, the price for the system, it's really not that great. I mean, when you talk about that, I can tell you that $50,000-$60,000 worth of going to college couldn't even compare to a hill of beans compared to this. And, you know, that's what it comes down to. I think when you go to the next video, the money's not the issue. The issue is, do we want to actually do we want to change what the statistics say right now of parents are saying their kids aren't going to have it as good as them? They know something. Parents don't get told to say that. You don't tell your kid you're going to be average. You're not going to have it as good as I am.
Right.
But in the back of their minds, I know a lot of parents are thinking, they see the economy, they see what's happening. I mean, how many kids have college degrees?
They're worried.
Their kids are worried. You know, they have friends that went to college and they can't even find a job. Kids are worried. They're looking, and then they're leaving school and they know that they're not being taught the skills to go out there. They're asking their teachers, why am I learning this? How is this going to apply? And the teachers can't give them an answer. So what are they doing? They're getting demotivated. They're like, what am I doing?
And you know what? The information in these courses that we have will help you across a lifespan. It's not just, it will help you if you have a traditional job. It will help you if you're entrepreneurial, your child is entrepreneurial, and their passion is something that's not traditional. The lessons that they will learn in these classes will help them across their life in general.
Relationships, I mean, everything. These are just time-tested success principles that apply to everything that you do.
Exactly.
So with that being said, Pam, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I appreciate it. And my name is Chris Wilson with the University of Winners. Have a great day.